What's up, YouTube, and whoever's tuning in, Facebook, everybody watching. Welcome back to Adventures of Kurt for another episode of Reminiscing with Kurt. True stories, man. I hope y'all like those first two stories. I hope y'all find it interesting or intriguing. Now it's time for story number 3. I be having a little anxiety myself about what might come out of this bag. You understand me? Because who knows if it's even a story I feel like telling. Some stories, like I said, it could be some tear jerkers, it could be some excitement, and it could be some comedy. I'm hoping to pull out something funny. I want to pull out a funny story, man. Let's see what we're going to get out of here today. And let's get right started, man. Let's get started. Before I dig in this bag, though, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. And please, please, please like, share it, and leave a comment. Leave a comment. Here we go. Let's see, y'all. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Look at how I'm gonna show you these handfuls and these handfuls. Watch this. Y'all see all of them? Shake it so y'all know I ain't making this shit up. You can't make this shit up. All right, here we go. Y'all ready? Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Oh, man. When Eugene Rushing got killed. That's my homeboy, AKA bruh. I was in middle school when this happened, man. This is crazy, man. I didn't really want a sad story, but hey, a story is a story. That one, out of there. So, for those of y'all just tuning in for the first time, I might not know, my name Kurt. This is Reminiscing with Kurt, True Stories. I lived a hectic, wild, crazy lifestyle. And now in my older, mature years, I decided to share stories with my viewers. I wrote a lot of stories down. I think of stories every single day. That's how many stories I got. I'm 48 years old, jumped off the porch at around 12, and I lived in like 26 states. So you do the math. It's stories forever, all kind of adventures and excitement. So I just wrote down as many as I can remember. And every day I think of more too, and I write them down, tear them out, fold them up, put them in this bag, so that there's no chronological order in how I'm telling these stories. I'm just I didn't know where to start or where to end because there's so much in so many places. So what I decided to do was put them all in a bag and I just draw one, it's story time, and I tell that story. So these stories that I pull out could be at any time. However, let's get busy. How Eugene Rushing got killed. Now, we're going to have to go all the way back to Louisville, Kentucky on this one, man, in Westport Middle School, right? And this was Mother's Day fell on a weekend, you understand me? Of course, it was going to be on a Sunday. Friday was that day we was at school. And my boy, bruh, there's plenty of y'all that's going to know this story. Y'all going to know how this goes and what happened, whatever. He was excited because his birthday is Saturday. So this is Friday at school. His birthday is on that Saturday. Now, let me also add, I know in the last story I told I was on house arrest. But in this story also, I'm on juvenile house arrest. Me and my homeboy Roy Dixon. Shout out to Roy, man. We got into a little shit. That's a story that's written down also. So hopefully I'll pull it out one day. And the thing about these stories, these names, y'all can always connect the dots with them. That's how you know somebody keeping it 100. So me and Roy got into some little shit. And we was both on house arrest at the time. He lived right across the street from me. So we ain't supposed to be going nowhere but to school and home. But the homie bruh was talking about this having this birthday party. He's having this birthday party. We was waiting on this birthday party, man. And finally, the birthday party we decided we're gonna go anyway. We don't care about that watch. We're gonna go anyway, you know what I'm saying? So we already made up our mind to see when you was on juvenile house arrest back in the day, there was no watch and no monitor. You just was on this like where the house arrest people would call, and you better be home, you better be able to talk, right? But after a certain time, they claimed they might call, but at a certain time, them folks didn't call no more, which is what made us comfortable and gave us the confidence that we'd be able to sneak out and go to this party. So I remember talking to bruh at school Friday. We was in the gym, and a few people in this story have unfortunately passed away or been killed. They're no longer with us, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are. So I remember talking to him in the gym, and he's like, man, what's up, little Kurt? You coming to the party, right? I'm like, for sure. Man, we middle school kids. Matter of fact, I think this is 7th grade. I don't even think we're in the 8th grade yet. I could be mistaken, but I want to believe we were still in the 7th grade, because there was somebody at Westport named Mr. Bennett, big black dude, lived off of 36. Who remember Mr. Bennett, man, if you tuned in? I don't even know what happened to him. He was like a teacher's aide or some shit. But anyway, so when I be telling you I jumped off the porch early, man, I wasn't bullshitting you, man. Like I said, this is 7th grade, and at this point, I'm selling dope. I'm literally taking dope to school with me, and when I get off the school bus stop, serving junkies. Me and my crew and the little homies I'm wrestling with, we toting guns and smoking weed and literally getting into shit. We beefing with grown-ups, whatever. So he's like, are you going to be able to be at the party? I know you and Roy on that house arrest shit. I'm like, man, we coming anyway, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be at that damn party, you know what I'm saying? So we kind of kicked it hard that day at gym. You know, I would never dress out. Gym was one of the classes I failed. I would never dress out. I wear my little outfit to school, whatever it may be. I'm not taking that shit off to dress down to some gym shorts and shit. It just wasn't how it was. So that day ended about normal, man. And me and Roy rode the same bus home. And I remember us talking on the way home about how we gonna get up out of there to go to this party tomorrow night, which would be Saturday. So we had this plan that we're gonna wait until about 8 or 9 o'clock and, you know, make sure we, you know, get all the last phone calls from house arrest, and our peoples wasn't in our business, and we was gonna just, you know, walk out the door. And this happened down off of Madeline Court, you know what I'm saying, right off of Broadway. And we decided we'd just go down there. So it was excitement that was built up. We couldn't wait to go to this party, man. And me and Roy was like best friends at the time. And rest in peace, T.Y., little Tyson Gibbs, man. He also got killed. But me, Roy, and Tyson couldn't be separated. We went to all the dances, all the parties, all the school dance. We made little dance steps and did them. We hustled together, you know. We learned the dope game together, and, you know, was always in them streets. And it's crazy that we was that young. When I look back at it, when we see today's youngsters like, hey, they young now. We been doing shit young. This ain't new. This shit ain't new. So here it is, Saturday night. I heard a little knock at my window. I know what that means. Come to the front porch. That's Roy sitting out there. He's like, you ready? I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's do this. So at the time, you know, for those of you that know, I grew up on 32nd and Broadway, man. All over the west end of Louisville, but 32nd is where my grandmother lived. And being the fact that, you know, I had an addict mother, most of us from that generation had addict mothers or fathers, or their father was in prison, and grandma was the one that raised us. So I was being raised by my grandmama at the time. My grandmama's house sat on 32nd and Broadway right next to the Viaduct for 100 years, I'm telling you. So most people known for that, because back in them days, we'd sit on our porches and Broadway was so lit up and down that street. So we sneaking out, you know what I'm saying? We walking down there, man. We get around there to the party, and the party's jumping at first. It's lit, you know. It's a lot of people I went to school with and grew up with, man. It's right there on that street, you know. Some are still here today, some have passed away, you know. However, man, it was a great time to be alive, man. Broadway skating rink was still open. That was the spot, you know. Robin's Roofs, you know. was a lot of little stuff that was really jumping in the Ville in the West End around this time. But we get to the party's lit, the party's jumping, right? So after the party is like right in the midst of it, it's late now, and none of us should even be out, especially if you're a middle school child like ourselves. So when it comes to these people who committed these crimes, I'm not gonna drop names on some of them people because I just know from my point of view what happened. Some of them I didn't even know. But to make a long story short, bruh got into an argument with a grown-ass man who shouldn't even have been there at the party. Grown-ass man and his brother show up. And when he shows up, they argue. Now, the tennis shoe that just came out at the time was the Nike Air Raids, man. It was the ones that had like the little African straps on them. You know, black with the little red, black, and green straps. You know, it was the movement in my day. The Malcolm X chains and hats and the African medallions on the little, you know, for some reason, you know, the Malcolm X merch, that was what was kind of popular, you know. So, bruh had on those Air Raids. So we partying, and the bruh to be a 7th grader, man, he had hands. And when I'm telling this story right now, it's making me think back. Like this story, I could just tell it and whatever, but some of the key points, remember, we were in middle school. This is stuff we was doing as 7th graders. That is crazy work, man, to think that we was that young off the porch like that, really in the mix, right? So I can't even tell you what him and the grown motherfucker, you know, we in 7th grade, this dude he's arguing with gotta be 28 years old at least, you know what I'm saying, 26, 27, 28. And he's there with his younger brother, who I think is still about 18, 19. And whatever they got into it about, I just don't remember, man. But it's a heated argument to the point to where it comes to like they're gonna throw hands. You know what I'm saying? So, bro always had hands, and that's why I said, just thinking back that we were so young, and he was really beating niggas up back then. It's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, as a 7th grader. So him and the grown dude who's much bigger than him and developed like a man, you know, they get to scrapping. They fighting, man, bruh's whooping this nigga's ass. He's whooping this nigga's ass, man. And before they had started fighting, the older dude had a strap, a little revolver of some sort. He handed it to his younger brother so he could fight. You know, it was supposed to have been a throw knuckle thing, like man to man, squab it out. So the younger brother's holding the strap at the time, and these cats get to scrapping, man. And bruh's whooping his ass, man. It's unbelievable how this boy is putting hands on this old dude. One thing leads to another, man, and the younger brother cannot stomach to see his big brother getting beat up, man. So he does some real dumb shit. He pulls out that gun and fires shots. I remember bruh stopped fighting. Even the big brother stopped fighting and was like, looked over at his little brother like, what are you doing? And, you know, but he didn't show a lot of concern after that. But I'm saying that the initial shots fired, everybody stopped and just looked like, what the fuck did you do? And even the little dude was shocked that he did it. So, bruh, he stopped. He was looking at himself. He was checking his body, like, and then the big brother looked back. Then my homeboy just collapsed, man. Right there in the street, man. Right there in the gutter. And people start scattering, screaming and running and whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? Everybody's like, what the fuck, man? And I'm out there with quite a few people who can, you know, recall the details in the story, you know. Everybody was scattering, getting somewhere, getting down. They didn't know if he was going to shoot again. I kind of lost a visual of where he went or what they did. I was trying to get through the crowd, man, to get over there to bruh, you know what I'm saying? I get over there with a bunch of people that's over there realize that he's shot. And he's laying there. He's like, oh, man, I'm shot, man. He was terrified. I never forget he was terrified. He was scared to death, man. And he was... while this is going on, people's robbing him, man. I remember somebody was taking his shoes while I'm sitting there talking to him. You know, I'm down on the ground telling him, man, I'm a kid, so I don't know what I'm telling. I'm lying. I'm like, man, you gonna be all right. You gonna be all right. Everybody's like, call an ambulance, call an ambulance. And it seemed like forever before an ambulance or some law pulled up, man. It was long enough for this man to have a whole dialogue before he passed. And they was like stealing shit from him. You know, this is his birthday shoes. You know, somebody took his shoes. Now, mind you, this is Saturday night. The next day is Mother's Day. Today is his birthday. It's Saturday night, but it's so late. It's probably about 11 something going on 12. You know, after 12 is going to be the next day. It's going to basically be Mother's Day. So I'm like, what you want me to do? What you want me to do? And he grabs my hand, and, you know, it's a few people sitting right there trying to talk to him or whatever. And we telling people, leave him alone, leave him alone. Motherfucker stole his air raids, took his shoes. People was trying to go in his pockets. You know, we doing our best, but there's so much going on. It's about 15 people in a muck at this point. It was way more than that, but I'm talking about the steal and the chaos. A lot going on, and it's happening so fast and so slow at the same time. And I never forget, you know, him asking. He looked at me and asked me, he's like, am I gonna die? I was like, nah, you're not gonna die, man. You're not gonna die. You all right, you all right. And everything that I'm doing and saying to him, which is thinking about it now, and it's shocking, because how would a 7th grader even know to handle it like this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling him shit that I've seen, you know, on movies, or, you know, watching action films or some shit when somebody's shot. You know, I'm saying stuff like, just hang in there, you know, nah, you gonna be all right. He's like, you know, he just stopped. Like, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? I'm like, nah, you're not gonna die. Nah, I promise you're not gonna die. You okay? Ambulance is on the way. They coming, you know. And I don't even know that to be a fact. I don't know who called or when they called, but, you know, neighbors was coming out. It was a lot going on, but I'm zeroed in on this right here. Holding this man's hand. I remember him squeezing my damn hand, and he was, what I witnessed him going through, you know, it's traumatizing still to this day. I think after that, I even needed to talk to somebody. The school offered all kind of counseling and help for people who was there, because, you know, they announced at the school that Monday morning that, you know, we lost a student, and we know there was a lot of kids that was there. You know, police came and talked to everybody and interviewed us all. However, taking you back to that particular moment while that boy was scared, like his face, he was terrified. And he was a tough little dude on a regular basis. He was really cool, laid back. But I mean, he wasn't no punk, no coward. But to see that fear in his eye, remember, I witnessed that as a child. Me reliving it and telling it, the details are so vivid, and my understanding of what myself, as well as him and the other kids around, could have been going through psychologically and emotionally, and especially this boy facing an untimely demise at that age, and so brave as he just laid there, man. And you know, he was bleeding out, and everybody was around trying to talk to him and trying to move him and get him. I remember somebody was like, here, come on, get up, get him out the street. And I remember saying, no, you can't move him. You can't move him. Now, I don't know why I would know to say that as a 7th grader. I just don't know why I would know to say that. I was like, no, you can't move him. When you get shot, you can't get moved. Like, the bullet might travel. You can't move. And they're like, okay. And the boy was holding my hand. You know, he was holding somebody else's hand, too. I can't remember who that was or who was around. It was females, males, all kind of shit. But I remember our conversation. He was trying to, I'm not the only one he was responding to and trying to talk to. But I'm telling you, our conversation, our dialogue. And he's like, I just don't want to die. I'm like, you're not going to die. And he's like, I'm scared. I never forget that. He was like, I'm scared. And I just kept saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? They're on their way. And we're like, where is the ambulance? Where is the ambulance? And last thing he said was, I don't want to die. That was the last words he said to me. I don't want to die. And then, you know, I can remember his breathing getting heavier and him looking more sleepier and stuff. And, you know, we was all like, stay up, stay up. Again, how would we know to say that as children, middle school kids? Stay up. No, don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. And I remember his grip was a normal grip. Then I can even remember a time when it intensified, where the grip was like really strong on my hand. And then that's when I noticed, like a slap in the face, him just let go of my hand. The grip just let go. And when that happened, I wasn't even looking at him, because, I'm looking around, it's a lot going on. I'm looking at him, talking to him, but I'm looking around. We told you it's a lot going on. People's doing shady shit, scandalous shit. It's another fight that is broken out. Why this is happening, like, I can't even tell you what that is, but trying to keep my head on a swivel, talk to him. I honestly don't think he's going to die. Let's start right there. In my mind, I come from a town where people get shot all the time, and unfortunately, a lot of people die, but people live too. And it's nothing like you experience, nothing like on TV, like you thought you seen in the movie. So I don't know what death looks like when it's approaching. In my mind, the fact he's able to talk and have a conversation means he's okay, and like he's gonna be okay. On TV, you get shot when you're dead. But usually when people can talk and shit, I didn't even fathom that you could still have a whole conversation before death. So I don't think my mind even processed that he was gonna pass. I just knew he needed help fast. So eventually, yeah, like I said, man, I just remember that grip, just letting go. Just letting go. And then that's when I immediately looked back over at him, and his eyes was open. He wasn't talking. He had that look and was making that sound and had that look. Like, if you never experienced that in your life, you knew exactly what that meant from seeing it right then and there. And I remember somebody yelling, people's hysterical, some female, he's dead, he's dead. And I remember thinking, he can't be. And I remember really trying to take it all in. I don't know why. I remember at that age trying to take it all in. Like, what am I really witnessing? I'm putting it in words now that I didn't have then, but I remember trying to, is he really dead? Like, is this really a dead body right here? And it seemed like still was a long time before the fucking ambulance and cops pulled up. It seemed like because I'm telling this story slow, but this really happened fast. From the time that the shots was even fired to where we are right now in the story, that was probably 3 or 4 minutes had passed. This was happening. But me trying to articulate the details is why this story is, kind of drawn out, trying to paint a picture. And it's not a good picture, but to understand. And now I'm reliving it, I'm realizing things that I didn't know that at this age I understand. So eventually, after still sitting here with this boy's lifeless body for, I want to say altogether probably about 30 minutes. I kid you not. Anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes this has been going on. He was alive for probably 10 minutes from the time of the initial shot. The rest of that time that I just gave you was us sitting there after he had already, I guess passed. So eventually, and we wouldn't leave his side. We would not leave his side. So eventually, here goes the ambulance coming, the police coming, and they, get out, move here, everybody move. Da, 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 da. So they rush over and they pretty much push us out the way. And I remember they started performing CPR, and it's getting harder and harder to see because they didn't push everybody out with the crowd that's now around them. So. And you trying to look for, I'm looking for Roy. I'm looking for who I know, who I came with, who was here. Man, it's crazy, man. And eventually they stopped. And they pronounced that boy. You know what I'm saying? And he's just laying there at this point. And, I come from a city. I come from Louisville, man. And if you don't know about Louisville, man, you probably should look it up. And I'm not glorifying it, but we experience hundreds, sometimes up to the 200 homicides a year. Majority of them unsolved. This is a place that a lot of people don't know when they think of Louisville, Kentucky as being such a violent place. I do a lot of traveling, and a lot of people hasn't even heard of my town. And the last thing they heard of is how violent it is. They familiarize with shit like Kentucky Derby or Thunder over Louisville. Like, oh yeah, I heard of your town. But they have no idea of how treacherous it is to live there. Remember, I've lived all in the worstest place you can think of. I've lived in New Orleans. I've lived in Houston. I've lived in Cali, Chicago, and the city of Louisville is right neck to neck with these places, if not worse than some of those places. I kid you not. So since a child, I've been witnessing this type of violence from my peers and friends and family members. I've lost a lot of people. I probably got somewhere around 45 to 50 dead homies. When you hear people talking about the dead homies, and from my experience, they talking about 3 or 4 people, maybe 5, 6, but I probably got 45 or 50, dating all the way back to childhood, middle school. That's insane. Eventually, his mom shows up and his family members show up. And of course, hysterical, because the body's still in there. They're not even moving the body. You know, they eventually cover it up or whatever, but the mothers are going crazy. You know, everybody's talking, and I don't know how it gets to this, but somehow they she wants to know who was with him. And, you know, people start saying, pointing me, Lil Kurt, a couple people that was with him. She want to know who was with him. Like, at the time, her fear was that he, you know, went on that concrete by himself with no help, nobody around. So people want to know who was with him. I got pointed out, you know, he was right there with him. You know, he was holding his hand. And I told her, like, yeah, I didn't want to leave him. You know, I'm sorry, I didn't want to leave him. I remember I was crying, everybody was crying. And she's like, did he say anything? And I'm so sorry for what I'm about to admit, but I lied. I said, he said, tell my mama I love her. And she just broke down. And I'm so sorry for that lie. And I can just remember that the reason that I even told that lie, I just felt like she needed that. I just felt like she needed to hear that at that time. And in a weird way, it kind of made her feel better. Yeah, it's emotional just thinking about it, but that I lied, you know. I didn't want to tell her that he was saying he's scared and he don't want to die. And remember, I'm a 7th grader, middle school. How to even know to articulate that lie at the time, or even be empathetic enough to be concerned with her feelings, I don't even know how I fathomed that at that time, you know, as a youngster like that. But I apologize, you know, if you're listening, if you're out there, I apologize for telling that lie, but I just felt like that would help. And I didn't have the balls to say what I really experienced in his last moments. But yeah, so I made that up. I said that, he said, tell my mom I love her. However, a chain of violence took place almost immediately after that. That whole night, those 2 crews, his family and those people who was involved, were shooting at each other the rest of the night. People's houses were shot or whatever. And, you know, by Monday, they had the boy who did it, they had him arrested in custody. You know, I don't know how much time he got, I don't know what, but him and his brother ended up getting in some trouble. They didn't stay free long. They ended up going down for that, and that's an unfortunate event. That's horrible, and I hate that I pulled that story out of that bag, but that's what I'm telling y'all about Reminiscing with Kurt. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. These are true stories. You know, this is parts of my past and my life that make up, you know, all these stories that I have that I can tell. I've shared with my children and peers or whatever. So, like I said, some of them are funny, some of them are emotional, some of them are sad, some of them are adventurous, but these are true stories that I experienced in my lifetime, and I'm just sharing them with y'all. So, rest in peace, Eugene Rushing, a.k.a. Bruh. Condolences to his family, anybody who may have had to suffer behind that or experienced it and had to relive it through this video. And get in the comments. Tell me what y'all think, about that story. Share this thing and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in and watching another story. That's all I got for today. It's kind of got me kind of fucked up now, just, thinking about it. But I'm going to cut it right here. Thanks for watching. Tune in. I'll be bringing y'all another story straight out the bag. Till then, gone.